Hello everyone, welcome back to Case Studies with the Biz Doc. This week we're going to talk about the distribution of content from traditional cable TV to the new over-the-top services and what it means for you, whether you're doing a training video for your company and you're putting it on YouTube and you want it distributed, or you create a series of brand new content that gets picked up by new distribution in new ways. Last week, we did a case study on CB Insights, and I talked about how that innovative company in New York was taking all the data of startups around the world, whether they're digital startups, financial startups, doesn't matter what industry, it's not just tech guys in Silicon Valley, synthesizing that data and making new content. Many of you asked, what's happening to old school content? And I don't get it with new million channel internet subscriber services and new things that are showing up like on YouTube, such as the Valuetainment channel you're watching now. What's going on with this? I said, well, it's a long story of distribution, but there's some important lessons in it that we can take for you and me. Number one, content is king and will always be king. Bill Gates gets credited with saying that, and I agree with it to this day. Now, in terms of dollars and Wall Street in America, distribution of television content was king, as Comcast and Time Warner and Dish Network and DirecTV dominated bringing that content to your home through cable or satellite. Well, content is king, and the way it's distributed is moving around. And there's a couple examples of how the old kings of content, who didn't change, have fallen from their perch. So let's take a look at what happened in cable and satellite through the eyes of content, and let's think about what you would do with content for your new YouTube channel as you look at a broadening distribution network for your content. Over the top.
Tom's word of the day.
Over the top meaning through the internet, through a Google Chromecast device, Apple TV, a Roku box, into a traditional TV that is no longer connected to cable and satellite. Before I get into this, let's talk a little bit about the U.S. market. I know many of you are watching around the world, but we're just going to look at the U.S. market for now, where these stats are, but it is applying very similarly in markets around the world, specifically in Japan, Australia, and Western Europe. Right now, in the United States, it is said 25% of households today no longer have a traditional $50 cable and satellite subscription. They maybe have a mini plan to get their local channels. Like here in Texas, local channels are important to alert you to tornadoes and weather alerts. Although your phone will beep and tell you about that as well, but a lot of times local news is still important for certain things. And with those mini plans, they add to it maybe a Netflix subscription or a Hulu subscription. But the traditional 100 channels of cable television sitting there on the couch, just flipping through each one, 25% done. And let's take a look at where it went. This is a little graph right here in the middle looking at cable subscribers in the United States. In 1990, there were 51 million of them. In 2016, there's 52 million of them. In meantime, it went all the way up to 66 and went all the way came back. Now it's been replaced by a little bit of telecom subscribers like Verizon Fios in the United States and AT&T Uverse, which is known as telecom subscribers. And that's made up some of it. But along the way, people have increasingly, especially in the younger new generations that me and you and Gen X and Gen Y and millennials represent, are getting their content in new and different ways. ESPN, the news really is that their content once was the dominant of sports. They no longer corner all the markets of it. They had 100 million subscribers in 2010, and they are about to crash under 80 million subscribers 2017, 2018 in the next year or so. That's pretty terrible. That's more than a 20% loss in subscribership, and you've seen them laying off a lot of the talent that we all used to know and love. Today, a great guy I used to watch, John Clayton, has been let go by ESPN. Not fired, but in the sports world, we say, you've been cut. Nonetheless, you can see that, if you don't adapt your content, it doesn't matter whether it's cable or satellite or over the top, guess what? You lose subscribers. So this is the traditional system. And now let's get that out of the way for a second. Now let's go look at where it's going. Where it is going is to a new generation called OTT, over the top. And it comes from, there's a lot of people that say that it came from going over the top of the house, down into it, or over the top of the traditional networks. Wherever it really came from, it doesn't really matter. Over the top means it no longer comes through cable or satellite. Cable used to be, in the United States at least, whatever cable was in your neighborhood, that was the one you got, because there wasn't 2 or 3 or 4 choices at the curb. There was cable, or after 1994, you could get DirecTV. But that was it. And Dish Network, of course. Well, now, guess what? The internet comes into your house, you get moderately fast internet, and thanks to digital compression, you choose your systems. And a lot of them now have built packages that look a little like cable TV, collections of channels you used to like at a lot cheaper rate, because they're not paying for all that equipment coming into your house. They don't dig trenches for cable. Now, they still got to pay the programming people a lot of money, and ESPN is still getting $7 a subscriber, give or take. And 10 years ago, they got $5 a subscriber. So maybe the cost of ESPN is part of their downfall. Well, not downfall, but their slide. When you still have 80 million subscribers, it's not exactly downfall, but you sure as hell got to fix what's going on here and stabilize both your content, your delivery, and your style, and your business practices. And then, needless to say, these over-the-top solutions emerge. We have Sling. That's owned by the Dish Network. Dish, which was a competitor of DirecTV, run by a billionaire and a guy named Charlie Ergen, who once tried to buy a company that I was part of, and I got to know Charlie very briefly at that time. And he is not a guy to be trifled with, and it is not surprising that Charlie Ergen, though he's one of the old school cable and satellite guys with the Dish Network, has taken Sling and has made it one of the leaders among the over-the-top providers that sells you a whole basket of products. Then there's PlayStation Vue coming through your PlayStation. Again, a basket of channels for $30, $40, maybe a little less per month. DirecTV Now is in there. So DirecTV saying, hey, we've got all these wonderful subscribers. We've got this content for satellite. Well, what if a new subscriber comes up and they just want to do it over the top? We've got the content. So nonetheless, they emerged DirecTV Now. And then there's Hulu. Hulu was owned a little bit by everybody as they were all putting their toe in the water on this library of digital download content, now including live channels. And they're actually owned by Comcast, Fox, Disney, and Turner. And of course, Comcast is NBC. So you've got them out there claiming 12 million subscribers. Now, sometimes this may be a $4.99 pack where you can just download things. These are talking about packages. Nonetheless, here comes over the top. As long as you have fast internet to your house, you connect it to your computers, you connect it with a Chromecast or a Roku or an Apple TV to your TV, and you're ready to go. You go and select one of these to get the channels that you want, and a lot of them, people are selecting only a few channels that they want. I only want the Food Network or cooking, or I've got kids like I do. I just want Disney and Sprout and Nickelodeon and things like that. I don't need all the rest of this. We're going to do other things with our time. Nonetheless, there you have it. What's interesting is Juniper Research. Juniper, a very, very well-respected market research firm, has predicted that by 2019, when you add all the players that are up here and more, including people like Netflix that have 77 million subscribers, but it's just for their movie programming. It's not a basket of channels, at least not yet. They say there'll be 330 million subscriptions. And if you think about it, that's basically the population of the United States. So it's pretty amazing what's going to be happening here. So when you think of over the top going where it is to 330 million subscriptions, I got one word for that. It's like, damn, look at that. That's as new places to get content. So what does it mean for your content? If you're building a content-driven business that maybe you're going to educate or just entertain or inform in some way, but you have a vision for building a high-quality channel, like Patrick Bet-David has done, the Valuetainment channel that's here on YouTube. It's also part of the Entrepreneur Video Network as a premium provider, premium partner there. And this is where my show, the Biz Doc for Case Studies, every Friday shows up. All of that programming coming together to make a channel. There are other channels out there that are not for entrepreneurs like Valuetainment is, but maybe about, all kinds of topics. New content is coming in the future that is going to need a home. It's going to need a lane beyond YouTube. There'll be millions of subscribers on YouTube, but then there'll also be the opportunity to go other places as well. And when you take a look at all that, you say to yourself, I'm going to be ready for a future in which I'm not constrained by bandwidth or the old business rules of cable and satellite. I can go far and wide, and the consumer is going to be right there, not with their clicker, but with their mouse or their finger on their iPad, subscribing to you, and you're arriving through one of these services. That's the future of it. It's never been a brighter future for content. And if you've got a content dream and a vision, pursue it, because there are more roads for you to get to the consumer and the viewer, not fewer roads. And there you have it. I need the pillow. You know, we need like a digital over-the-top pillow. You know, I think we need one of those. Thank you for watching Valuetainment, the best channel on the internet for entrepreneurial content. Please subscribe here on YouTube. We're on a mission to go to 1 million subscribers, and you're going to be part of it. Until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth, and I hope I left you better than I found you.